All right, who's got two thumbs and is pumped up for Wednesday afternoon football? That'd be this guy right over here. I'm sure most of you guys, I know you're with me. I'm sure most of you guys are with me. Any sports we get these days are fantastic. And like a lot of you, we work at home, so I get every opportunity to watch this game.
Yeah, it's going to be a nice little treat, I guess is the best way to call it. Wednesday afternoon NFL game. No Thursday night game this week, so guess that sucks, but at least we got today.
It does suck because I kind of forgot about that, but thanks for ruining my mood, Bellman. Appreciate that. I was kind of looking forward to having football to talk about again tomorrow, but yeah, that sucks. All right, well, what are we going to do? We got today's game to dissect. We got the Steelers taking on half of the Ravens, and it's one of the weirder games in history. Wednesday afternoon is not a normal time. This game has been postponed multiple occasions now. Obviously, a lot of it has been COVID related. It's just a weird game.
Bizarre. Never seen anything like it in pro sports.
Weird week. We had the Broncos not being able to play. And again, there seems to be a lot of confusion within people watching the NFL, the difference between why this game was delayed and why the Broncos were kind of being punished for not following protocol. It doesn't sound like the Ravens were breaking protocol in a lot of different ways.
Yeah, apparently it's because, threat of an outbreak where the Broncos situation was kind of just controlled within that quarterback room, and the Ravens situation was considered like an outbreak.
It's different. I mean, we don't know all the inner workings of it, but it's definitely a little bit different.
They weren't out to screw the Broncos.
Yeah, exactly. And us, the Broncos, are kind of out of it anyway. All right, let's get into this, guys. As far as current 5-pack promotions we are running right now, the PayPal and Venmo addresses are below. Drop the price on the NFL package down to $49 for the rest of the year. I'll get that fixed on the website, but you can pay manually or I can send you a rebate. Otherwise, we still got a spot left on the NBA package for only $60. That gets the full NBA season. Come get it if you want it. Love to have you guys join the team. And let's not forget to talk to show sponsor Overlay Fantasy Sports. Talking to the guys over there recently, telling them I am hyped up for basketball season to get up into the matchup shop. I will be talking about that a lot going forward when that drops. Tried to talk them into doing some preseason NBA because I'm desperate for things to talk about, but we'll see how that comes. But we do have contests up there today as far as what we can do. The name of the website is overlaydfs.com. We talk about them every single day. The matchup shop allows you to get parlays and one-on-one bets. And if you're a sports bettor and a fantasy sports bettor, it should be something you're interested in.
I'm hyped for that to start for NBA. I can't wait to hop in there for NBA matchup shop. It's going to be fun.
And I like it because it's not touchdown reliant. Like, you can have a pick in the matchup shop, and then you can be right in the sense of who played a lot better. But then a random touchdown at the end you can lose. Basketball, I feel, is the most predictable, which really fires me up for this.
Mm-hmm. That's why, I really love the starting pitchers. And that's, I agree with you wholeheartedly.
I gotcha. I don't know if something just happened to your microphone. It sounds a little bit different. Either way, subscribe to the station if you're new to it, guys. Thumbs up is always appreciated. We'll start with our classic, keep it simple, stupid, Occam's razor play of the day, which is Big Ben Roethlisberger. Hearing people start talking about him as, a potential MVP candidate. No, I'm sorry, guys. I can't go there, only because when you have the number one defense, it's difficult for me to rationalize you as the MVP. That being said, he's really easy to afford today. There's a lot of pay down options. He's going to be involved. Big Ben at home. This kind of reminds me a lot of Russell Wilson the other day. Maybe you don't love him and maybe you don't captain him, but he just makes a lot of sense in any kind of lineup you build.
Yeah, so as far as the MVP goes, I don't discredit him for them having such a good defense, but he's also not the MVP. I mean, it's just not even close. So I'm not saying because of their defense. So we might get there different ways, but he is definitely not the MVP.
No way, no how. So Big Ben is a recommend. And what I mean by that is I think you should just put him in your lineup and move on. Robert Griffin is not necessarily a recommend, nor is he a recommend not to play. I'm more in the sense than want to have a discussion with you about what we expect out of Robert Griffin III today. And I mean, the honest answer that we have on this one, and we can agree on this wholeheartedly, is we don't really know what to expect out of him today. He could play poorly, which would not be a surprise, like Carson Wentz did the other night, but still fall into DFS points. Probably not because of a last-second Hail Mary. but you can throw in some rushing yards. You can throw in some prevent defense for much of the second half. There are multiple ways that Robert Griffin could be successful today from a fantasy perspective without really playing that well, which makes him kind of an intriguing play today.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, it's obviously a tough spot against Pittsburgh, but he is the quarterback. And with so many guys out for Baltimore, not only Lamar Jackson, but both their running backs, they run an offense that's built for Lamar Jackson. And Robert Griffin's actually the perfect backup for that situation. So I agree with you, man. Like, it's a tricky one because you don't expect him to, light up the world here. But he could easily, pick up, DFS points along the way, and even more so if Baltimore gets down in this game late. It's hard to envision, and I talked about this on our members only video. It's hard to envision a situation where Baltimore is able to just line up and run it down Pittsburgh's throat here. Like, they're going to have to put it in Robert Griffin's hands. Whether he's really good or not, we don't know. But the upside's obviously real at 8,400, being a starting quarterback here that can run.
He's got to still be relatively mobile. He's not going to be as fast as he was 10 years ago, but he's got to still be relatively mobile. He's an athlete. And rushing yards mean a lot. And I could easily see him end up with 60 rushing yards today just on scrambling, trying to get away from that, ferocious pass rush, not being able to get through the reads very quickly because he hasn't done it, so he reverts to his legs a little bit. I think that's plausible. I also think it's entirely plausible that he's just awful. And this is a terrible situation to be in without your best two running backs, without your best pass catcher in Mark Andrews. And he is just god-awful today and ends up with like a total of 4 points after throwing 3 picks. I don't know what to expect out of him today. What do you think you expect from like an ownership perspective, if you had to take a guess?
That's a good question. I agree with you wholeheartedly. It's definitely not out of the equation that, he's like awful, because he's a backup for a reason. We haven't seen him in a while. It's an awful spot for him. I expect him to be somewhere around 40% owned.
I don't have any really good clear-cut idea on that. I won't disagree or agree with you. I'm asking you because I flat out just don't have any idea what to expect out of him today. From both a performance standpoint and from an ownership standpoint. This is a tricky DFS slate, and we've had a lot of them this year, a lot of that courtesy of COVID. If he has 25 points, I'm not shocked. If he has 5 points, I'm not shocked.
I agree with you.
I don't know what to expect out of Baltimore. This is a bad spot for a team to be in. And I know you really respect Baltimore, and as a Browns fan, you should, because they've, given you guys a lot of beatdowns over the years. And I respect almost everything about Baltimore, but sometimes you just don't have the cats to play well. And we talked about this on members only. A lot of this comes down to how Pittsburgh plays. If Pittsburgh lives their best life today, Baltimore's going to have a rough day. But if they play down to their opponent, a la Dallas Cowboys, we saw them do it against the Texans earlier this year, this could be a more competitive game than people think.
Couldn't agree more.
I'm just going to give you the big shrugging emoji because I just don't know.
Yeah, for sure.
All right, a guy I do know is very good is wide receiver Diontae Johnson of the Pittsburgh Steelers. He is our top choice at wide receiver. He is the most expensive, but it's not a glaring price discrepancy, easy to afford today. I think for me, he's just a PPR beast. And in a PPR format such as DraftKings, he's easy to take a look at. Ben looks at this guy almost like with Antonio Brown type of targets, you know what I mean? Where you can see him with 15 targets in the game so easily. He's not that hard to afford today, courtesy of all these pay down options. And really just look at the game log on this dude.
Yeah, as long as he stays healthy, he's one of the best. He's been one of the best PPR wide receivers in football. A ton to like about him here. Obviously, Pittsburgh's got 3 guys. It's hard to choose between them. It seems like we like him the most. Doesn't mean the other guys won't be good, but Johnson's in PPR just looks like the best combination of the two.
What I like about Johnson is he doesn't need to score touchdowns in order to be effective. This is a guy that could easily end the day with 9 catches for 110 yards, doesn't need to hit pay dirt, and other guys are reliant on the touchdown. So I enjoy that about him. Now, if he scores, that's just a cherry on the freaking sundae.
Amen.
So Diontae Johnson is a guy who will be in my cash game model today. Rock and roll. Next up, let's talk about Justice Hill of the Baltimore Ravens. So you got to play somebody from Baltimore today. They don't have a ton of desirable guys. We already talked over Robert Griffin. I can completely understand how you play or fade Robert Griffin. Meanwhile, if you really want to load up on the Pittsburgh Steelers, a cheap piece of Baltimore could be in your lineup. And for me, that could be Justice Hill. There's no Mark Ingram and there's no Dobbins today. Gus Edwards is the lead back, but Justice Hill is 1/3 of that price. We also know the Ravens could be different today with a lot of their guys not healthy, but they have a tendency to rotate their backs. And Justice Hill is more the pass catching back. If you believe Pittsburgh gets up in this game, and I can understand why you would believe that, well, then I think it's more likely that they might need to dump it off a little bit more and get into a little bit more of a hurry-up offense where the pass-catching running back could be utilized. I like his upside on points per dollar better than Gus Edwards.
Yeah, there's a lot to like here at 2,200, especially if you think, like you just mentioned, the game script plays out where Pittsburgh gets a big lead here. They're 10-point favorites, 10.5-point favorites. Not crazy to think that at all. At 2,200, I mean, he makes a ton of sense in like a full Pittsburgh build because you're expecting Pittsburgh to score well and Justice Hill, that pass catching back. It makes a ton of sense.
You don't need much out of a 2,200 guy to be successful. And there's nobody on the Ravens today, even for bigger dollars, that we think is like going to blow up, right? Like I could see Robert Griffin, get over 20 points. But instead, like I could see the potential downside there. If Justice Hill can run it for 15 yards and grab 4 catches for 15 yards, give me that 7 points right there off 2,200, and I'm perfectly happy with that.
I'm with you.
Yeah, you ain't going to win GPPs with it, but that's where you're relying on your Pittsburgh guys. Speaking of Pittsburgh guys, let's talk about tight end Eric Ebron. So we did some GPP building on the members-only lineup. And Ebron is a guy who's in a weird price tier for ownership. These guys in the mid-tier tend to get overlooked a lot, as stars and scrubs seems to be the more heavily utilized building strategy for these showdown formats. For that reason, I think you get Eric Ebron at maybe 20, 30%. That's not like super low owned, but by showdown standards for a guy that catches touchdowns, that's not overwhelming chalk.
Not at all. I mean, listen, on these showdown slates, it's hard to get different. And because you need a tight end, people kind of overlook Ebron. He's in that weird price tier. But as you mentioned, doesn't mean at all that he can't catch a tight end here. Catch 2 tight ends. And I love the last bullet point. Like, if you use him, he does make it harder to get all those desirable Pittsburgh wide receivers. But if you use him, you think he's going to play well, and that's going to eat into at least one of Snell, Claypool, Juju, Diontae, whoever it is. So he makes a lot of sense as kind of a differentiator type piece in tournaments.
And I picked up Snell and Claypool right here specifically to talk about playing Ebron instead of those guys. Because, we don't think Blake Snell's going to run for 150 yards. He's not utilized in the passing game. His biggest value comes from the fact that he's a tough guy. He's a hard-nosed runner who can easily get multiple touchdowns down on the goal line. The same thing goes for Chase Claypool. Diontae Johnson moves the chains on first downs. He's the PPR monster. Claypool is a touchdown catcher. But in a format where you build with Eric Ebron, you're not expecting Eric Ebron to go Travis Kelce and have 11 catches for 150 yards. You're expecting him to catch 2 touchdowns. Well, if he's catching touchdowns, that's taking away from the way that Benny Snell and Claypool are likely to get their monster points. So you got to tell yourself a story, which is a saying you came up with a couple weeks ago that I now have taken, legally trademarked, and will be using instead of you, is tell yourself a story on how this game works out. And if Eric Ebron's catching a couple touchdowns, well, those are not now going to Benny Snell or Chase Claypool.
This is true. I've definitely heard that tell yourself a story, though, from other places. So I did not come up with that.
I didn't know if you did or you didn't. Either thing is, I heard it from you, and I have now successfully stolen it, trademarked it, and just flat out thieveried it from you.
Hey, do your thing.
Yeah, I like it. It works for me. Like I said, you took my cog in the machine. I took your tell yourself a story. But you do have to, and I think it's most applicable in these showdowns, right? Because you got to figure out how the game plays out to you.
Definitely. I mean, in these one games, it's really only applicable for me in these showdown slates because you just have this one game, right? You don't have any other games to worry about. So however you think this game plays out is all that really matters.
Yeah, and that's the fun part about fantasy. And sometimes you have to remember that there are fourth quarters. Again, we talked about this. We've had back-to-back games now, the featured Sunday night and Monday night game, where the Packers kicked the living crap out of the Bears. But there was 3 guys on the Bears that were really good because they got to spend the entire fourth quarter with Green Bay in prevent. Mitch Trubisky, Allen Robinson, and David Montgomery all ended up being really good because they were playing against a weak defense in the fourth quarter that was up by multiple scores. Not that much different in the Monday night game where Carson Wentz, Richard Rodgers, Dallas Goedert, these guys all ended up having really good days because, Seattle got to sit back and just let the clock run out. Well, if you think that happens today, it's possible a guy like a Dez Bryant or a backup tight end for Baltimore could have big days, as Pittsburgh could easily be up 30-3 at the end of the third quarter.
Marquise Brown, any of them.
Right? Like, we don't know who it's going to be, but if you're telling yourself a story, there's ways that guys are fantasy successful even though they don't play well. And when you're telling yourself a story on these showdowns, I think that's key in it. I beat a guy, this is like 8 years ago, and I will never forget this. It's my buddy Pete, and I had Arian Foster. So this is how long ago we're going back. And it was a PPR format, and I was down like 11 points going in the last drive. Arian Foster caught like 7 dump-offs for like 45 yards to beat him. He didn't have a good game before that, but those late PPR points can be huge.
Definitely. Imagine him falling in the end zone there too.
I mean, it could happen, right? Like, why couldn't, we brought up Justice Hill. Why couldn't Justice Hill have 8 catches as Robert Griffin has not been thrown outside the numbers for 10 years now, later in the game or whatever? Dez Bryant. I know you like Dez.
But the thing about Justice Hill, and why I like him here, it's not inconceivable to think that, he's the Ravens' top scorer.
Not at all.
Just because they don't have many weapons. If you are in a scenario Pittsburgh gets up big, if you think Baltimore kind of gets there, I think it's very likely that he's right up there as one of their top scorers.
We mentioned Devin Duvernay on the members only video. Now you would never put him in an optimal line, but who knows what Baltimore does today? They haven't had an opportunity to practice. Maybe Robert Griffin is more familiar with some of these secondary pass catchers.
For sure.
So it's a weird game. It's a weird day. I wish you all the best of luck on it. I think it's an interesting game. And even though I usually subscribe to the method that the team that is much more talented, which would be Pittsburgh today, is usually going to win, this is a weird game. We could see some weird stuff happen in this one. And we do respect the way that Baltimore usually puts forth a good effort.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
I don't know. Good luck today, guys.
Thanks, guys.